Hello, this is David Bryant, and welcome to this episode taken from chapter 2 of my book, The Hour Has Come, How a Christ Awakening Wins the Battle for the Soul of America. A while back, I was traveling with 4 missionaries through India. We were on a train from Delhi to Agra. It was a second-class car with no windows, wide open, with air blowing at us that was heated at about 105 degrees. And slowly I began to get woozy, and then groggy, and then too weak to sit up, and finally lying flat on the bench seat. Without realizing it, gradually, I had become thoroughly dehydrated. Then one of my companions, they rooted around in my backpack, and they found a half-used bottle of water. And when they urged me to drink it, I barely whispered, no, I'm saving it for an emergency. To which the entire party exclaimed with one voice, and I can remember it to this very day. They said together, "This is an emergency." Sometimes I want to walk to the curb of my home and just shout out into the void one single cry to all of America, and more so to the church in America, "This is an emergency." We are in a moral, relational, and spiritual dehydration. We desperately need to drink deeply of the greater aid, not Gatorade, but greater aid, the greater work of Jesus' redemption and life, for which the soul of our nation is thirsting, even without actually knowing it. There I was on that train ride, slowly losing more and more moisture beyond any I was taking in. And as a result, I was going through the stages of dehydration. First thirst, then weakness, then sleepiness, which could have been followed by a comatose, and finally, death. Now, in a real sense, this could happen to a nation's soul. The composer of Psalm 42 begins, "As the deer pants for the springs of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My whole being longs to drink of you." Friends, that's the drink of choice that America needs right now. But are we finding it? God charged the nation of Israel in Jeremiah 2 with 2 strong rebukes. He charged them with having left him, these are his words, as the fountain of living water, and gone off, as he said, to start digging their own wells where they were unable to find any water. They came up dry. And gradually, as a result, their souls were dying of spiritual dehydration, as so much of Isaiah tells us. As we have seen, how we define and form our truest selves as a society is being put to the test right now in stunning fashion. Clearly, the state of the health of the soul of our union hangs in the balance. We are in a spiritually dry and barren land, a desert in terms of God's kingdom promises. What if we remain dehydrated like this? This is no static condition. Either America heeds Jesus' offer in John 7 to bring our thirst to him and allow him to fill us with rivers of everlasting life that begins right now, or we will move from thirst to confusion to greater weakness and even to the full depletion of our national soul. In Mark chapter 8, verse 36, speaking to the crowd around him, Jesus asks a question that applies equally to a whole nation and especially to its leaders. He said, "What good would it do to get everything you want and lose you, the real you? What could you ever trade for your soul?" Well, here's the same question from another translation. It goes like this: "What good can it do a man to gain the whole world at the price of his own soul? What can a man offer to buy back his soul once he's lost it?" That challenging question, raised 2,000 years ago, must be amplified for this entire generation of Americans, and especially, first of all, for the church in America. And we must do so without delay. At this juncture, Jesus might rightfully ask all our citizens, and here and now I'm going to sort of paraphrase the full meaning of what Jesus is saying in that question. It might go something like this. What good is it for America to become the superpower leader of the world, but achieve that temporary status by forfeiting the magnificent opportunity for your national soul to become all God meant for it to be by what I, the living Savior, am able and ready to bring to pass? And if you Americans lose a shared sense of honor and dignity and purposefulness, if you forsake the virtues of truth and justice, righteousness, compassion, community, mutual caring, where can you go to reclaim your corrupted soul? How will you ever be able to start over again? Now, there are incredible answers to those questions, to be sure. And I can hardly wait to share them with you in the coming chapters. However, in the next chapter, we absolutely must press on to uncover more of the state of the soul of our union. We're not at the end of the story. There are many forces arrayed against us, trying to ensure that our nation does not survive the desert we find ourselves in. There are more episodes up ahead looking at the great moral, relational, and spiritual drought in America today. But fear not. Please take another moment to once more ponder the solemn truth I shared a couple of episodes ago from Alex de Tocqueville, his wisdom, his foresight on how to measure the state of the soul of our nation and what it will take to start healing that soul. To go from good to great, that is the goal toward which this entire series is ultimately headed. That is the outcome of this new American revolution that God has for us in an American Christ awakening. The Frenchman put it this way: America is great because America is good. If America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. To which I would like to add, and it is Jesus pouring out his Spirit on God's people in a fresh new way, like a Niagara Falls, saturating Jesus' followers together with the fullness of the supremacy of Christ. That is what can and will make our nation great. As the living God measures greatness, I invite you to come and see.